I have a pen to bang a gavel with tonight. So I'll call the meeting to order. Just so everyone understands why we're maybe starting a little later than usual is because we went to executive session to talk about contracts. I'm going to ask everyone if they'd rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming, everybody. Next item on our agenda is public comment. Does anyone wish to speak on something not on tonight's agenda? And seeing no one, I will turn it over to my friend Owen. Welcome, Owen.
Semester 1 at the high school is approaching an end. Finals for blocks 1 and 2 are on Monday, and finals for blocks 3 and 4 are on Tuesday, and Tuesday's a half day as well. The National Honor Society held a study crunch yesterday in the library to help students prepare for their final exams with help from both teachers and members of the National Honor Society. Additionally, students taking biology, freshmen, semester 1 will take the biology MCAS on the 6th and 7th of February. The annual winter ball will be held on February 2nd from 7 to 11 p.m. This year, we're having our winter weeks flank the winter ball with activities the week before and week after, so double the fun. Our very first Powder Puff volleyball tournament will be held next Friday in the gym. The scheduling process has begun for the classes of 2020, 2021, and 2022. Yesterday was Program of Studies Night, where parents and students could learn of the great courses available to MHS students, and the portal for Aspen to select classes is open till the 1st of February. The high school's GSA has hosted this week of school as No Name Calling Week, bringing awareness to the discriminating language in schools across the country. Thank you to them for informing us how to be more inclusive in our language. And finally, congratulations to the cast of Thoroughly Modern Millie for a great production and 3 great shows. The dedication of both the cast and crew shines through in the quality of this show. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Owen is, the one thing I want to ask personal of you, because I know it's this time of year, is college acceptances going well for you?
Yeah, they are.
Good.
I applied early action at all my colleges, so gotten good results.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Financially, it's starting to come in now, so.
Awesome, awesome. So now starts the more than fun time of finding out how much they'll give you for financial aid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Through you, Mr. Chair,
Please.
wondering what the possibilities are of you doing another year of high school, maybe sticking around and helping us for another year?
I've thought about it.
Thought about it.
Excellent. Any member of the committee have anything they wish to add? Seeing no one, I just want to make one comment. Well, actually 2. First, February 1st, which is a Friday night, which is the Hockey Parents fundraiser at the Elks, the Middleborough Elks. That usually starts about 7 o'clock, right?
Right, I'm not sure of the exact time.
Okay.
I have tickets, but I'm not sure of the time.
Right, but I would get your tickets as soon as possible. That event sells out every year.
Yes,
Um,
very
so-
popular.
Very popular and very fun. Yes, Mr. Oakley.
Mr. Chair, what time was that?
I believe it's 7 o'clock, but please don't quote me. It could be 6:30. I'm not going to get in trouble with hockey parents, but I have gone the last couple of years, and it's been a lot of fun. They do a great job. Aside from also, they put on a great golf tournament for us, and they raise lots and lots of money so that the kids can play hockey. And so it's a very expensive sport, and we appreciate all their help.
This is an athletic support program that is a 501c3 that raises money and basically pays for all of our ice time over at Bridgewater Ice Arena, which is a good deal of money, generally between $16,000 and $20,000 per year. So, and they support a middle school team, and they support our high school team, so, which is just wonderful. And that is at the Elks. I'm not sure if you, Brian, I know that you were looking, I didn't know if you looked it up. It is Friday night, it is Friday night, February 1st. It's on their website, the MIHG, or MIG, hockey group for Middleborough High School.
You got to go first?
No, I was just going to say, I believe that it's through them that we have a program.
Absolutely. Right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I want to make mention of a couple of things, because it's at the end of our agenda, but I want to announce a thank you to Jerry Ann Tucker and Bonnie Hudson, who are retiring,
Yes.
coming up. And the Mary Kay Good donated a little over $300 for another donation for a color printer for a classroom. I found out that they donate, I think was it Birkeland or the Mary Kay Good that donated one of those fountains the kids can, a couple of them, and I know Hutch, I know we've put a couple in, which is great. So, these little pieces are not little. They really do make a difference, and I want to thank them for that. We all do.
Mr. Jess?
Thank you. Where would you go to get tickets for the fundraiser?
More than likely, the athletic director will have tickets. I hate to throw him under the bus, but I just did.
I believe you can buy them online.
Okay.
If you go to the MIG hockey group, it's a group called the Bit Players that's coming in. They're out of Newport, Rhode Island. Last year was strictly a stand-up comedy show. The year before that was a happy hour with Jim Plunkett, famous Cape Cod happy hours. But I know that it's the Bit Players. The tickets are $20. It's Friday, February 1st. It's 6 to 11, so 6 p.m. at the Elks Lodge. There are a number of raffles, but if you go to middleboroughhockey.com, at middleboroughhockey.com, you can buy tickets.
Thank you.
Okay?
And so the only other thing I wanted to mention was as we move into, amazingly, February, February really begins the end of the winter season for sports. And then we start going into spring. But for a lot of the teams, they'll have senior nights during that time. So keep open for that, and please attend senior nights because the school really does make a production out of the kids who've been playing sports for a variety of time and making sure they're recognized and everything like that. So,
And Mr. Chair, through you, the winter track team already had their senior night up at Reggie Lewis. It was the last regularly scheduled dual meet, correct, Owen? And you were on that team, so you want to share with us a little bit what it was like?
A few parents were nice enough to organize a coach bus, so senior parents and other parents could make the ride up to Reggie without having to park wherever. So the parents, Mr. Brannigan, Mr. Sylvia, Mary Farley were there to watch all the events. It was cool to have a crowd there. And then afterwards, they prepared like jerseys with our names on it, and we got to take some pictures. And we're doing a more formal ceremony at the banquet because they try and rush you out of the Reggie afterwards.
Yeah. But it was, there were nice pictures on the Middleborough Educational Television Facebook channel, I believe.
Yes.
There were lots of nice pictures from that evening, so.
Reggie Lewis Center is a spectacular place. Yes.
Owen didn't mention, but this past weekend, the girls 4x100, the school record was just decimated this year. The girls between cross country and winter track, I can't wait for spring track. That girls team is phenomenal, and let's see what they do in spring track too. But there's still the South Shore League meet coming up, which is the 31st, next Thursday. So that's up there at Reggie Lewis. And then those who qualified, some have qualified for states. So, yeah.
Anybody else? Seeing no one, I will move on to Mr. Catino. Welcome, Mr. Catino. Mr. Giovannone, myself, and Mr. Catino, among others, and along with Brian and Sarah, spent quite a bit of time together for last week, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it immensely.
Yes, we did, and looking forward to continuing the process.
Yes, absolutely.
Begin doing some negotiations, which we begin on Monday. Can't hear myself anyway. Yeah, the end of the semester is coming up for teachers. That's at the high school. A little different for us than it is for the students, closing out all the grades and making sure everything is done in, and lots of late submissions of things. It usually happens about this time, so got a little bit of work ahead of us, but looking forward to starting the new semester, new courses. Other than that, that's all I got.
As you know, this is the time, as I said to Owen, this is the time of year when everyone finds out. And we really do appreciate how teachers go above and beyond, especially by providing references for kids and letters of recommendation when they go to college. I know there's lots of running around and lots of asking, and I can imagine certain teachers get asked a lot and have lots to write, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's usually a lot of the junior teachers who do juniors mostly. I teach a lot of seniors, so they've already gotten their reference letters by the time they've got me for the most part. Because if they don't get that stuff together in their junior year, they're doing it late. And But it's a lot easier, actually. I've done some of the reference letters, and with the online ability, it's really, for the most part, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do, so it's not too bad.
I lived through the days of putting it in an envelope and a teacher having to sign the back of the envelope to make sure it wasn't opened and everything like that. Brian?
Mr. Chair, I too am excited for Monday and getting started. Last night with the core studies program presentation at the high school, I got a little information that there's a good cohort of 8th graders coming up that will be taking a double math next year, and they're really focused on, they've got a real good group of kids coming up for the geometry and algebra 2 in the same year, which will push them almost to a calculus BC at the senior if they push their maths the whole way, which is kind of exciting. I don't know if you knew about that, or it was something that was...
We've had that possibility for a while,
Yep.
and with, the course, doubling up on courses, personally, I don't think it's necessarily a great idea, because you start to get to the point where if a student reaches their wall in mathematics and you do a lot of doubling up early, you could get to the point where you get to be a senior and there's no course left for you to take. And that makes it difficult for some of the students where you're advancing yourself.
more.
Now, if you're a great math student and you excel in the stuff, I guess go for it, because then, even then, when you get to be a senior, you can do the dual enrollment, and it counts, and I think some of the business courses count as math classes, so.
Nice.
They can do some of that stuff too, even if they kind of, fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
Taking the two at the same time, only can be done with Algebra 1 and Geometry, or Geometry and Algebra 2.
Yeah, I think
Because
they
the
were-
others, the algebra sequences, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, pre-calc, those, you really can't skip one of them.
Right,
And so you
right.
can't take them simultaneously. And in a semester system, you never know which one you're going to get first. If the schedule changes when we move to the high school, where classes are meeting almost every day for an entire year, that would be a different situation.
So you got that, and you got Project Lead the Way, in there already. And I've had a parent actually comment to me how excited they are with the program that their child is taking up there. So there's some really awesome things going on at the high school.
Yeah, well, we've got the two new pathways that started this year through the grant that Melanie had gotten. That seems like a cool thing. I know there's teachers running around with name badges that have been made with a 3D printer that they're engineering these things. So it's almost like a little clam shell thing where instead of having the plastic sleeve, it just closes all around it. It's kind of cool, but they made them in the class.
Nice.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have some additional Project Lead the Way news coming up shortly. We applied for grants for an additional expansion of the high school computer science program, and additionally a program at Nichols and the complex, HBB and MKG. And we have some good news on the way for that, so the emails that came in today, so looking forward to that.
All right. Any other questions?
Thank you, Frank, and we'll see you on Monday.
Yep.
Moving on, we'll move to the superintendent's report.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, members of the audience. I bring down today Megan Quirk. Megan was down here recently to talk about some things that were going on with the Family Resource Center, to provide a summary. And one of the things she mentioned was a study that needed to be done to identify risk factors in our community and to possibly access more grant funds down the road for our youth in our community. She mentioned a survey at the time, and there was discussion about it, and there was almost a vote, I think, at the time, but we wanted to wait till the actual vote. So Megan's here to talk about that, answer any questions you may have with regard to this survey, et cetera. So Megan, welcome. Thank you for coming.
So, as Mr. Lynch mentioned, the survey that we chose is right here. I shared. It's the Prevention Needs Assessment Survey, and it's quite thorough. It is updated as of 2017. Initially, upon looking into surveying students, the first survey that I looked into is the Communities That Care survey, and I connected with the Communities That Cares organization, who directed me to Bach Harrison, the survey administrator and reporting service provider, who shared the prevention needs assessment with me because it's the most recent. So CTC was last updated in 2013. This one's, as I said, 2017. So it's quite a thorough survey, and we're going to focus on our 6th graders and our 8th graders, and that's 520 students. They are here as we speak, ready to go, and it's completely been funded by McLean Hospital.
Megan, the McLean Hospital, what type of donation is that? What are we talking about in terms of their money donating to our school system?
So they donate for a number of different initiatives through the Resource Center and through the public schools. One is Interface that we have talked about quite a bit here, and this one is another program support with a focus on learning more and serving our families and children who have experience with substance abuse and mental health needs. So this survey in total is just over $1,100.
We get information, results from this, based on when we're thinking about giving it and results?
It's approximately 6 to 8 weeks from them receiving it that we will get the full report.
And when do we think we'd give it out?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
As
And
soon
the
as Mr. Thomas would like to.
The reason why I asked this question is the question did recently come up in a discussion at the Board of Selectmen's meeting with regards to, vaping and e-pens and actually regulations within our community. Because although the state has gone to 21 for cigarettes, it's up in the air as to what, because e-delivery systems don't always have to be tobacco products. Therefore, they may not be as regulated at 21 as everything else tobacco related. So they're even trying to figure things out, and this question did come up, and I said, we have seen down here at the middle school, the e-pens, I'm sorry, 2 different things, sorry. E-pens down here at the middle school, so it is there. The question is how prolific is it? State records show that based on some of their other assessments at the high school levels, they've seen 50% of the kids saying at one point in time they've done it, not at school, but at least done it. So it's some scary information, but it would be good information for the selectmen to have. So they
This way we'll have our own data.
We'll have our own data for our town, which would be good to know. I appreciate that.
Great.
I just had a couple questions. When and how is this going to be given? Are kids going to be taking this home? Are they going to do it in school?
So it's in school, it takes approximately 45 minutes for the younger students, 25 to 45 minutes they range, so we just will give about 45 minutes.
Okay.
And it will be paper and pencil. So they sent us everything with, what we need to send it all back when it's done.
Okay.
So it's here.
And then my other question was, and I apologize because I haven't looked at it in detail,
Sure.
but I didn't see, just in kind of browsing through it, anything about like mental health. It's a lot of, drug use.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if there was going to be anything added to this or if that was going to be a separate piece done.
We haven't discussed adding anything with a focus on mental health, like diagnoses, or there are a couple of questions that touch on how you felt or views, so it should give a picture on how a child feels, but not specific to any mental health
Okay,
diagnosis.
all right, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Briefly looking over this question, and I'm not expecting changes to be made. Please understand it. The only thing that I would change maybe in the future was, there's a question here about, have you had a handgun? It runs through. And my only suggestion with that is, given there are lots of people in the community who have access to guns and use guns, if it could be something along the lines of, if you had a handgun without an adult or something like that, so it sort of changes the focus, because I think you'll have lots of kids who have used handguns properly.
Right.
But we're just asking about handguns, we're not asking what I assume we're asking, which is you're handling them improperly.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Oakley.
Hi.
Just a few questions. I'm assuming that the quality of the data relies pretty heavily on everyone feeling like it's anonymous. Is that right?
Yeah.
But what if something really scary comes out? Is there any way to act on that?
That's a really great question. I can reach back to Buck Harrison and ask how they approach those situations, and we can talk more about what that might look like and what you might be looking for as
Sure.
far as information. I haven't asked that question, so I'm not sure how to answer.
Sure.
But it's a good question.
I mean, obviously, in terms of an individual result, if
Right.
trends are obviously things that we would have to handle as a town, but like anyway, but I know it's a balancing act, because the second that people feel like they're identifiable, they're not going to answer truthfully, but.
Past, you're also going to get a count of kids who fill it out sort of in the dangerous level just because it's fun to fill out in the dangerous level.
Yeah.
And so usually when they take the results, they sort of skew them along those lines, recognizing that a certain percentage
Right.
is always going to say that everything is not dangerous, and a certain percentage is going to say that it's very dangerous just to say it's dangerous. And what you're really looking for is in the in-betweens.
Sure. And just two more quick ones. Like Megan was saying, or asking rather, the amount of time. I think you said 25 to 45 minutes. And how does that look? Is it set aside? Everyone knows we're taking this survey right now, or is it kind of like hand this in before the end of the day type thing?
I think it's everyone's given the survey at the same time, and it's there are instructions for the teachers or the people who are administering the survey. There's directions on how to do that within the classroom setting so that it's done with everyone together in that
Sure.
moment and then handed in, so that it's not taken out of the space and discussed and possibly then that just makes it not, you know.
Right. It's not viable anymore,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Right.
And then just the last one, too. I think you said 6th and 8th grade.
Yes.
Why not 7th?
That's a really great question. Initially, we were going to focus on 6th, 8th, 10th, 12th. And then the high school had a survey that they completed. And so our focus is on 6th and 8th. And also, the cost of the survey was a little different. And so we decided to focus on 6th and 8th for
Okay.
cost purposes. But that's something to discuss for sure.
Sure. And I suppose you'll hit if you do this every year,
We'll
the
go.
7th graders will be hit the following year.
It's
so.
great to survey our incoming, our 6th graders, seeing kind of how our young, elementary into middle school age, and then as they're going into high school, that catchment. And it looks like that's the way that most schools and communities are doing it, is that every other year. So 6th and 8th, 10th and 12th.
Got it. Thank you. Really looking forward to seeing these, maybe.
Megan, do we own the survey now, or is it still the property of?
Buck
whatever
Harrison?
Yeah.
We have the copies of the survey, but I don't know that we own rights to the survey.
Okay, that's why, just because obviously you can just send it out afterwards if you own it.
Right, yep. Good.
Any other questions? So it's my understanding that we need to vote on this in order for Megan to send it out. So the chair, at this time, would entertain a motion to approve the sending out of the survey.
Motion to approve the survey as presented this evening.
Discussion. Megan, other than thank you very much. We really appreciate all the hard work that you put forth, and the survey is really good, so thank you very much.
And Mr. Chair, thank you, McLean Hospital, for funding.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair, that was a motion by Brian, second by Megan Janess, Megan Janess, okay, just so that when she watches it, she'll hear it.
I forgot about that one.
It was a motion, that's why.
Secretary's up. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, my second item is a facilities update. Usually a couple times a year, we have Mr. Jim Hutchinson, our facilities director, come down and give us sort of an update on what's going on and with facilities. The bigger picture this week is there's some high school activity going on with a meeting tomorrow morning of a review of the information that's coming in on the sub-bids for the high school, but the day-to-day operations still go on in the rest of the buildings, and Jim Hutch is here. So take it away, Mr. Hutchinson. I'd like to also note that this past weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Mr. Hutchinson basically spent in our schools catching up on work. So thank you for all you do, Mr.
Yep,
Hutchinson.
no problem at all, thank you. Just to start with the lighting upgrades that we did through the green community, that project is complete. I'll give you some dates there, our inspections both locally and with the OER. Once the attic stock was delivered, that grant was paid in its entirety, which allowed us to move forward now with a competitive grant. That attic stock is basically 10% of the lights that they supplied, motion detectors and that, we store those, so if we have issues, they're there to replace them, so, which we would do in-house, so obviously with our electrician.
And Mr. Hutch, not to interrupt, but the
Yep.
new grant that we're applying for could bring the system, the school system itself, $190,000, correct?
That's correct, yep, so we have some,
That's the grant for this summer. We just did $283,000 worth of work last summer on the complex and lighting, and we anticipate another $190 for next summer.
yep,
Thank
that's
you.
correct. So we'll, obviously with a competitive grant, we want to put out there what we can get the biggest return on. So these are some of the things that we're looking to do, along with a couple of things through the town hall. Andrew Sukforth is working with me on that as well. So we have, in the complex, we have a number of systems that run 24 hours a day, exhaust fans and motors and that. And so we're going to get those so that they're working on a schedule when there's an occupancy load in the building. The HVAC upgrades at the MEC, we have a lot of sections of that computer system that early on they had technical difficulties and they bypassed it. So it's very inefficient right now, the way that school is running. We have to do a lot of things manually, so we'd also like to put that on that competitive grant as well. But those are the two. We also may consider some LED lighting in this building here, but we'll see what we have quotes on those that were from last year when we did our ASHRAE level 2. They came in and gave a company, Air Masters came in, kind of put us in the ballpark as to what some of these things would cost. And we'll see where we are between that and the two for the town hall and the annex building, and then we'll see how close we are to that number. School Street School, we did a few things. The last time I was here, I think it was August or September, so we've got a few things on there just to wrap up. Scott Beach, our electrician, went into School Street and was able to take the lighting and upgrade it to LEDs 100%, all 3 floors. So we've already seen the numbers going down electrically in that building, as well, obviously, with our complex with the large project they did there. The basement bathroom petitions were the old steel petitions, and they had seen better days. They were rotted out, so we upgraded those and replaced them with a solid plastic petition, which we've done throughout the complex and a few locations at the high school. I've mentioned in the past where we use a blue for the boys, a green for the girls, and when, like, the high school comes down in a couple of years, we'll take those petitions out and utilize them elsewhere in the district so they don't just get thrown away. So we did the same thing over there at School Street, so those petitions can be used if we choose to. The LDL Massasoit campus, we had the old stair treads were there and the old VCT flooring as you entered that building. This time of year, super slick. You come in, even with the hog mats there, they get on those stair treads and they could take a tumble. So those were replaced. We went in and did the grunt work, if you will, and removed all the VCT and the stair treads. And then Wilmots came in and installed, they call it an airport grade carpet tile. And those are on the landings, and then the stair treads are all brand new rubber nose treads like we put at the high school a few years back. They look great, so that's good timing over there. They just finished that project as well. Brian, you had mentioned the water fillers there, the Halsey-Taylor filling stations and coolers. PTA is going to put up money for 6 of them. We've done 2. I've done 2. The Food Services Director, Rebecca Bagnell, is purchasing 2, so we're putting one in the MKG CAF, one in the HBB CAF, so that the kids have those there as well. Through facilities, we put one in the gymnasium already, and one in the pool, so facilities budget paid for them. So we'll probably, when all is said, have 8 to 10 of them in there. The ones in the hallways are, 2 of them were the old ceramic ones from 1955. Didn't work, couldn't get parts, so we removed them and we're now putting the new ones in place. So Kids love them. They love putting the finger in front of the sensor.
That's what these filling stations essentially replace our water cooler.
That's what they are, yeah. So they're like an old style, like a newer style water cooler, and then they have the bottle filler above. You place your water bottle, and then and it has a readout there, and it tells you roughly what you save for disposal into the landfills.
Is it something that we could retrofit here in this building too?
Yeah, absolutely, yep, yep,
I know, I happen to know, I have a child that comes here and she comes in with a bottle every day.
yep.
I have to figure every kid's probably got a bottle.
That's awesome.
Well, and I think that was for the MKG PTA, at least I know in speaking with them, that was, some of their thought was, we'll give all the kids a MKG water bottle, and then they can go to the coolers and fill them, so. Yeah, we can retrofit those anywhere. I put them at LDL as well, so what we do is if the bubbler that you have is in an alcove, we build it flush, and then that makes that bubbler an ADA acceptable bubbler, because it's not in an alcove, so. Yeah, we can put them anywhere, so. They're great, the kids love them. Just in short amount of time, the one at the Berkland gym, I think it's up to 650 bottles saved from going in the landfill.
How much are those?
They're $1,200.
$1,200?
Yeah, yeah, and we do, the installation is all done in-house, obviously, so. On the weekends, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's, you get a few too many questions when you try to do it on a Monday morning. What are you doing? What are you doing? So we try to get it done on the weekend. The back, with the exterior lights, Scott Beach went through, and we basically had a wall wash light on that building, and it just really did just that. It washed the walls. So with light, he then took and changed them to an LED, because in the front of the mech, we had, it's really just a decorative light. You've probably seen them. They've been plowed over. They're about 3 feet high. So with these new lights that Scott put on the wall, we're able to light the sidewalks, so we can eliminate that decorative light that's out there getting run over by the plows. And he did all the exterior lights have been done over. So the mech is all brand-new LED exterior lighting.
so, and I haven't been there yet to see them, but it goes out to the sidewalk, but it doesn't wash like
Right.
the world?
So it's not an issue for a neighbor,
Right.
but it
okay.
covers our sidewalks out front.
I know
it's
everyone's
around the
worried
perimeter.
about light pollution today, but those sidewalks were nice to have light.
Yes, absolutely. So even the older fixture, which only half of them worked, they really were decorative. They really didn't light the sidewalk, so.
Excellent.
We're going to, like we did here, I should say Scott did here, he replaced all the lights in the gym here, and it makes a huge difference in that gym. So he's already done the small gym at the Mech, and he's now gonna go and do the full-size gym as well. Just a couple things on the dirt team, we did have that gate installed on the back side of the Berkland where Hannaford's is, and it's worked out great. We've had a couple times where a milk delivery guy has maybe left it open, but other than that, closes at 9 o'clock, reopens at 3 o'clock. It's worked out great for the kids are out there running around. The gym teachers love it, so. And then the building lettering, we, just in our recent dirt meeting, all your buildings have letters, your entrance A, B, and as you go around clockwise. And then we're gonna be numbering all the classroom doors internally. So if you have a substitute teacher there and there is an issue, let's say, they don't know that they're in class 22, so they can speak to the office and say, room 22, we've got an issue. So that's part of the thing we're going to be doing in-house, to label all the exterior doors, so building A, side, door 1, and then all the classroom doors on the inside. So they're all numbered on the outside. We'll just duplicate that on the inside so that they know what classroom they're in.
And Hutch, that dirt team, that's the big dirt team, but
Yep.
that also includes the Middleborough Fire Department.
That's correct.
And
Yep.
that suggestion actually came through the fire department, correct?
Yep, that's
That
correct.
will help them
Yep.
as they come in and they are working down hallways, et cetera. So
Yep, so Captain Reed and Lieutenant Fahey are part of that dirt team, so that's been their input is there. I have on their grounds, we finally have our groundskeeper back after 8 months of covering for a custodian that was out at the Mech. So he did a ton of preventative maintenance on all of our snow blowers and tractors and that, just in the nick of time to get us ready for the winter season, so that worked out great. We've been using our new boom lift that we purchased through facilities. We just recently took down the big smokestacks over at Berkland that used to go to the old boiler. They were about 30 feet in the air. So we just took those down because they're not serving a purpose any longer. And he's been working on the driveway lights here and also was able to use that lift on the mech as well. The next issue there you see is the lights here. So we have a handhold and a bus loop out front here that basically is submerged in water. So that's why when you come up the driveway, you don't have the first section there plus the bus loop, which are also tied to the parking lot lights. So what Scott Beach has done is he took the parking lot lights and left them on the breaker because they were all the same circuit breaker. When they trip, you lost everything. So right now he has just the parking lot lights on there. We're gonna have to dig down and redo that handhold. It is submerged in water the way it's laid out, so. We'll surround it with gravel so that if there is rain, it'll drain off and we won't have that issue. Just found out this week, actually, on a trip to Granite City, Mass Save has got a rebate on T8 LED light bulbs. So they're the regular 4-foot fixture, but they're an LED bulb. Same price as a regular bulb, so Scott went and bought 5 cases for each school that still has the old style bulb. So that bulb is typically a 10-year bulb. You can utilize the same ballast, so that's going to be great. Obviously, we'll see the savings on our electric bill there. Let's see, he's still working on those wall packs at the complex. That seems to never go away. There's quite a few of them there, but hope to finish that up once the weather changes. And on the high school project, Brian, we're going to move probably next week because we're 2 weeks roughly away from construction over there. We'll be relocating the buses and the minivans from the high school now in the east bus law because that'll be off limits shortly. And we're going to move them to the back side of the Berkland where the basketball hoops are. I've discussed with the principals there, and it'll be out of the way. And actually, it's a better location for them right now because we have security cameras out there where they're located now at the high school. So that's probably 2 weeks.
When did he fix the lights coming in the driveway here? Because I noticed it tonight that all the lights are lit.
The whole place was off when I got here.
Tonight?
Tonight.
Oh, I was here a little early.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was here a little earlier. As you got up to here, it was out in the parking lot, but the driveway, I noticed there was a lot, like every other one was out at
Yeah.
one point. I guess
Yeah.
they were all fixed.
Yeah, so.
That's great.
He, when I came up this evening, the parking lot was off.
Yeah, it was
He
tripped.
had some luck keeping that on, but, so that's been a problem. We had that fixed a few years back, and it's just, the underground has to be redone, so it's done properly.
Yep.
And one other thing I didn't have on there, Mr. Lynch and I met yesterday with the Eagle Scout, Eric Grady, who did a phenomenal job out here as part of his project. He did a landscaping project in the front of the school, and boy, he did an awesome job. He really did. Yep,
At Middleborough High.
yep, junior high student, junior student.
So we should bring him in, Hutch, and have him come before the committee.
Yeah.
I talked to Ann, the secretary, my administrative assistant, about bringing him in for the next meeting.
That'd be great.
With some slides and some before and after photos, and some of the things he's done. His dad happens to be an engineer,
Correct.
who is a landscape design engineer.
Yep.
And we had the advantage of having him work with his dad on this, but he did a wonderful job. I stopped up, I was able to see him at work on one Saturday when he was up with the crew. He had a lot of people from the community donate. He's going to give him a chance to acknowledge those folks.
Yeah.
Who did a lot of work for him and a lot of donations. He also has a donation with money that was left over from all the money he raised, and for the spaghetti supper and things like that he did, which is, I think, about $380, which he has destined for spring planting.
Yeah.
Some planting that maybe if a tree is lost over the winter or something needs to be replaced, there's $380 that he's going to donate to the school system, which was money left over from his Eagle Scout project. So I was able to meet with him, Mr. Hutchinson, his dad, and sign off on that Eagle project with great confidence, because he had a dozen people up here the day I pulled up and working, and he was working too. He wasn't just ordering people around, so.
Yeah, it was really a labor-intensive job too, because everything was so overgrown, and they took a lot of the landscaping that was up against the building. It was just overgrown, and they pulled it back 6 or 8 feet, went down to the ground, put landscape matting in there, crushed stone, so it's a lot easier for us to maintain now for us on the custodial end, so.
I will point out to you, Hutch, too, that Mr. Grady lined all my fields when I ran soccer, because he brought out the lasers and everything like that, and it, like a 2-day job.
Yeah.
Took 4 hours.
Yeah.
So you may want to have a conversation with him about that.
So, yeah, that, I had put it on there, but boy, he did a great job. he was so professional. Of course, he had his dad's help with him, but with the blueprints and everything, and it came out just as he said it would. And at first I thought, boy, that's quite an undertaking. But once he got going up here, and Scott Beach came up on a couple of Saturdays and ran the tractor for him to move crushed stone and that, and he texted me and he said, boy, he's got an army of kids up here, and they did a great job. So, very happy with that.
Hutch, I wanted to mention before you go, we do have some roof issues
Yep.
in the district that are going to need to be addressed.
Yep.
Some that are smaller than others. We had some leaks here at Nichols Middle School today with some areas that you have had the roofing folks up here looking at. We also have a roof over the pool, which has been compromised and needs to be addressed, and the roof at the LDL building, which is going to need to be addressed. We had done a vinyl cover on that a few years back to try to seal that roof. That did not work out in some of the seams, so I know that down the road, it's going to become before this board, perhaps asking the MSBA, which may fall on deaf ears with the projects we've had recently, but you never know, but some possible work that may need to be done sooner than later on some of these roofs.
Yeah, so as you know, the LDL, we have a budget there that we'll be able to draw from for that roof, but the other two, the pool roof was installed incorrectly, I guess. There was no vapor barrier there, so damage has been done, but we have to do it properly to maintain. So there was a space on the perimeter of the inside of the pool wall and ceiling. It was about 5/8 of an inch that was allowing, obviously, moisture. It's a tropical atmosphere in there, and it was going up underneath the roof and causing it to bubble. So I had an insulation company come in and spray closed cell foam insulation to prevent that from going up. And so the next step is to look into a dehumidification system in that area, and then we'll address the roof, but not until that system is in place, so we would be throwing money away at that point. So, and that pool is getting used more now than, in my time here at least, it seems to be getting a lot more use out of it, so.
It's good.
Well, I was going to say, we rented the pool out,
Yep.
so we do have access to some of those funds that you could, same thing as LDL.
Correct.
Which is essentially, if we're renting the pool out, then clearly we can use that money to upgrade whatever systems you need upgraded.
Yeah,
I
so-
don't know that it will reach the level, we have enough to cover everything, but you know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and we've taken the boiler out of there that we did a few
Yep.
years back, the bubblers that I put in there, so we've been able to pull some things out of that, and BR, I know, rents it from us. Coast Guard goes in there, but we don't charge to them.
Right.
But there's definitely money in there, so we want to keep it going. We've invested.
Mr. Open?
Thanks for the presentation.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good how quickly you're able to talk about all these projects. It feels like you know it probably maybe even better than the back of your hand, which is nice. But I notice every time I come to another school committee meeting, I realize just how big the world is of this school district. And so I'm trying to, as best I can, find that little thing I can grab onto so I can better understand each of these. And I was wondering if maybe this is something we talk about in email after if it's too big of a topic, but I was just wondering if you could tell me like the biggest operating costs for the facilities. Is it the heating, lighting,
Yeah.
and cooling, or are there other things in there?
No, the energy piece is a big piece, yeah.
Okay.
Our heating, our fuel bills, our electric bills. Obviously with these green community pieces with the LED changeovers, and then the building management systems will be able to save on that and knock that down. The projected savings on just the complex alone is $20,000 a year, so.
From the lighting?
Just from the
Is it?
lighting alone.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Wow.
And even with the school street, that small of a project, we see a savings there already, so it all adds up. But that would definitely be our biggest money piece, would be the energy piece.
Got it.
Our utilities are substantial. I think we're 70% of the town's utilities get
Other than
used.
those major projects, for example, the neck roof, the Early Childhood Center roof was about $900,000 or thereabouts, 934.
Yeah.
Projected to be 1.3 at one point, but we came in under $1 million, which was great. But that was a major project. We've been able to repair other roofs instead of replace. But when it comes to roof replacement, it's a much higher priced item than just a roof maintenance. And unfortunately, at top of the pool and the LDL roof, we're probably talking about a replacement. So those are definitely higher priced. But the day-to-day operation, Hutch is right on exactly with the heating and electricity.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to remind everybody too, when they rehab the mech, They didn't touch the roof.
That-
So that
in
was the
07,
reason.
yes,
That
yeah.
was the reason we had to redo the roof, because the roof was just about 100 years old at the
Right,
time.
right.
So it was a matter of, no one had redone the roof when the mech was originally upgraded, so people ask that all the time.
Yeah.
So like, we just redid the mech, how come the roof is only like, no, we never touched the roof when we redid the mech back then.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
another piece of this that, every time I see this and every time Mr. Hutchinson comes up here and presents what his crew's been working on, just him, but the whole crew's been working on, and I get amazed by it because for many, many years, people would say, oh, they don't do anything, they just ask for another school. That is so far from the truth.
Yeah.
When you start seeing what has been done, and when you were renovating the bathrooms and we're going to do 2 bathrooms, $20,000 worth of stuff to do these 2 and these 2.
Yeah.
And I remember all those coming through, and it would be $20,000 worth of materials for $120,000 worth of work getting done, and they were doing it in-house because you have an electrician, you have a plumber, you have a carpenter, you have these people in HVAC.
HVAC, correct.
Which is huge, because that's the type of stuff that we didn't have for the longest time. Now we have these specialists, and we're able to do this maintenance stuff. So when something comes up, and someone says, whoa, you shouldn't have done your maintenance, they're doing the maintenance. This is just end-of-life stuff that we're running into now.
Yeah.
Even this building here, that new middle school, 1999.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, we're 20 years out. Some stuff is some carpeting reaches end of life.
Yeah.
That's why we went to tiles in all those common areas,
That's right.
things like that. It's really cool to see this stuff getting done.
Right.
And it's not just one school. It's spread out across all the schools, including the ones we rent.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just amazing, and I'm always impressed by it when I see these things.
And
So I
even
appreciate it.
related to it, Brian, too, was, a lot of this is bigger projects. But in the past, before we had guys who were electricians and plumbers, things were getting nickel and dimed. Like, a pipe would leak, you'd have to bring in a plumber to fix
Yeah.
that's always what we did. And so we were always, while it may hurt the local guy who was our plumber at the time or our electrician, having this has saved us lots and lots of money and afforded us opportunities to do other things that we haven't been able to do. So thank you.
Yeah, and we have, with the high school, the existing high school now, we have a lot of pipes that are being held on with rubber bands. And we're crossing our fingers that we get to 2021.
Exactly.
So,
Mr. Hutchinson, thank
that?
you and your crew. You guys do a fantastic job, and
Okay.
over and over again, I'm always, I spend a lot of time with you guys and wander around. You're gracious enough to show us what, happened for the summer, what happened over vacation, and I'm always amazed. And even more so, not the work that they do, but just the condition of the buildings. Like, walk around here and see the pride they put into this building. This building is fantastic.
Yeah.
And even, we know the complex is older and has some issues and stuff like that, but the way it looks with the new lighting and everything like that, again and again, it looks beautiful, so thank you.
yeah, the custodians do a great job. They're adapting to the new floor tech and what have you. And, the complex isn't going anywhere. We're gonna have that place for a while, so we need to get it right. And with the bathroom remodels and that, it really makes, this building's 20 years old, and you walk through the hallways, it looks great, so. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, my next item is the MCAS testing dates, and I'm still working with the folks at the complex to get the detailed dates, because they have to juggle technology a little bit, so I don't have the full schedule yet, but suffice it to say that from February through May, there'll be somebody being tested in MCAS, and I will definitely get a memo to you for the next meeting, a little more detailed with regard to actual testing scheduled dates. So, but spring testing is coming. It involves high school testing, obviously, 10th grade, and it goes down through, all the way down from 3rd grade up through 8th grade. So, and that will be, it's easier to do at the Nichols, but not as easy to do certainly at the complex, so that's there. My next item is the public hearing on budget information. Yes, oh, Mr. Oakley, I'm sorry.
Just a quick question about that. I think I remember hearing that this last go-through was the first time that it was done online. Is it for, what, fifth? It's the second?
Yep.
We just finished the second time, this will be the third.
Okay, this will be the third. Okay, that's, and all those grades.
100% online.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
High school still does a little bit of paper and pencil. It's the old first-generation MCAS, and this will be the last year of that, so.
Got it.
Moving on from there.
Cool,
So,
thanks.
my next item is the public hearing on the budget, and I have had a little bit of a disconnect with Ms. Hickey here today. She's just coming back from 3 days of MCPPO training up in Burlington? Burlington, Massachusetts, on 3 not-so-great travel days.
No.
But the update here simply is that the budget hearing will be the February 28th.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Budget subcommittee's meeting tomorrow, and I look forward to putting a presentation together for you for the
Thank you.
28th.
That's the end of my report this evening.
Thank you very much. First up on the MSBA update, although the sub-bids came in today, just a brief walkthrough, just so everyone knows. Currently, the sub-bids came in under budget, which is fantastic. So those, we have actually a meeting tomorrow. Those sub-bids go out to the general contractors so they can review them, and they can include them in their general contracting piece. Everything's going forward and going forward very well. So I think the next time we meet, we'll have a much bigger discussion because we should have a general contractor at that point. If I can, I'd probably try to get the general contractor here to meet with the committee if we can. And we'll go from there so you guys can meet the general contractor, and soon after our next meeting, the building will start. Yes. Yes.
And by way of information, the general bid was pushed back to a week to February 5th, I think, or 6th, or whatever the Thursday is there. And the reason for that is they received a lot of additional questions. Because of the way the holidays fell, people really didn't look at the package thoroughly until after they came back from the 2 holidays, that Christmas and New Year's, or whatever holiday they celebrate. And they got the slew of questions, they were answering the questions, and that would make an effect. So they wanted to make sure everyone had time to understand, digest, and get that sharp as pencil. So they asked, and it'll still keep us on schedule. We're still looking to award so that by the 15th it's signed, but we won't have an answer on the 31st. We'll have an answer a week later.
Right, and we will not have a contractor on.
Oh, that's right. On
the evening of the 14th, which is our next school committee meeting, we may have some white smoke. We may have a contractor, but we probably will not have one to introduce. So the following meeting on the 28th, I believe, of February, would be the more formal announcement of who has been assigned, because that decision will be made the 14th, and then the notice to proceed is February 15th, and then the work is scheduled to begin on the 18th. So.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
With respect to some dates, because we have a budget hearing, we have to post it 21 days in advance and blah, 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 blah. If we have a snow day on the 28th of February, what's the policy on how we're going to have to re-advertise that? Will we have to wait another 21 days or not? I don't know what it is.
On the 14th? I don't believe it's 21 days. I think it's, the posting is a little less than that.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, what we can do is we can
Just in case.
In case we were not able to hold the meeting on the 14th, I would assume we would hold it on the 28th.
The budget hearings are the 28th already. I'm just saying.
Oh, sorry, there you go. Days.
If the budget hearing was the 20th, we'd want to have it the next following week in March.
Well, we can, there's a couple of things that we can do. I think we can also, we could hold it the following week. I mean, we could set it
The
up-
advertisement.
We can advertise it that way.
Okay. If we can do that, that'd be great, just in case.
Figure out, well, I'll take a look at
A
that.
snow date, per
Yeah, I
se.
don't know.
That's a good idea. It's never come up in the past, but it's worth noting, certainly. Although I'm pretty confident we're not going to have any snow days this week.
If there's 6 feet of snow, I may require you all to attend, so we'll just have Hutch lead the plow up the hill, so we can get our budget. We'll build a snow tunnel. We can meet at the COA, because that's the warming station. Those is here, but,
This is the emergency shelter.
no, the COA is the warming station, so
All right.
that has to be open. Any questions about the MSBA? Then we'll have a lot more interesting news as we progress at the next meeting and the meeting after. And then you'll actually see a road start being built. So, all right. Move to consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Second?
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. I put in the agenda, in the Dropbox, just for everybody, the operating protocols for you all to take a look at and review. So if you can, if there's anything that you have an issue with, as we get more and more into budget and negotiations, I find it harder to hold the meeting, so I just wanted to make sure that the language made sense to everybody. Yes, sir.
There was an item that I figured I'd bring up tonight. I know we weren't going to discuss it thoroughly tonight, but I just, there was a piece where when people are looking, questions or concerns from, no, it was something about when people ask for information that they're to do something. I think it should be removed, and I'm trying to think of where it is now, because more or less, we have a protocol under the public records information now. We should just follow that.
No, thank you.
It's in there somewhere, I'm sorry. I didn't bring that mark up.
Well, what we can do is just put in there, if people ask questions, you can refer them to the protocol, to that particular piece.
It was something where the importance of working collaboratively with town officials, if someone's asking for information through you for consideration by us, if anyone wants information, they just have to ask, I think Ann's our person in the office there.
Yeah, although I will tell you this, one piece that I want to make clear with everybody, I am fine with, for example, and I have done this in the past, somebody has contacted me and said,
Oh, yeah.
do you have can I have a copy of the superintendent's contract? Yep. And so what I'll do is I'll send them to the link. I said, is the link good enough for you? Or I can provide you with, and I send them to the link we have on the website. But then I sort of CC Ann on it.
Yep.
And I say, oh, and by the way, if you have any further, if you have a records request, you would technically go through our person. And so I'm more
I'm
or
the
less,
same way.
if you have something that's right there, or somebody asks you, Brian, like,
Yep.
how much do we spend on staffing, or,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, feel free to answer the question if you have the answer.
Right. I was just thinking about it
Right.
because I was like,
No,
it's
no, no.
more or less directing them different from what we do now. So that was always, but I agree. If anyone ever gets a question, that's the first thing I do is I direct them. And when in doubt, I send them to, that's
Right.
the superintendent. I'll send them over there. So,
So there's that, and thank you, Brian. I'll take a look at that particular piece for it. As far as policy updates, so there's the third reading on all the policies listed. Just so everyone knows, we pulled off the one on the support groups until we actually meet with MASBA. So the superintendent and I are going to schedule a meeting. So this is the third reading for the other ones that we've talked about in the past. Yes.
I would move that we approve the following policies: FA, FA-E, FCB, FF, FF-R, FFA, GBEBD, and KDC.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion. And again, that was Mr. Giovanoni making the motion and Ms. Janess making the second. Any further discussion?
So I can
Hearing
repeat those again? No.
none. Yeah, no. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, and they will become policy. Also, as far as subcommittees go, just so everyone else knows, Mr. Stevens and I will be meeting on the budget subcommittee starting tomorrow, as we talked about, and Mr. Giovanni and I are meeting starting Monday on negotiations. We went through the interest-based bargaining training with the superintendent and the business manager, and obviously members of our attorney and members of the MEA. And so we will be starting negotiations through that process. Of course, it's going to do it. The action items, I only have one action item left.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would move that we approve the, the Family Resource Center donation letter.
Oh, thank you, yes.
As presented in our packet.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Again, Ms. Giovanoni and Ms. Janess, all those, discussion. This is one we do every year and have done every year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
And Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would move that we declare minibus with plate SB 30234 as surplus.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Oh, this time it's Mr. Oakley with the second, jumping ahead. Discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Chair just wants to mention that what happens with this is after we declare it surplus, the superintendent sends a note to all the department heads in Middleborough asking if anyone has any use for this, and then it would be gotten rid of. In the past, we've used auctions, we've used a wide variety of things if no one wanted it. In the past, I will say Mr. Cass has taken a lot of our vehicles, and so you can see them in work with the Park and Rec Department.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Giovanni.
this bus is also not running,
Yes. It is not.
so that's, so that's why it's being declared surplus.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. That takes care of our action items. Does anyone have anything for me before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Seeing no one, our next meeting will be Valentine's Day, February 14th. And just a quick note, as Mr. Giovannoni mentioned previously, if Middleborough Public Schools are closed, we do not, for any reason, primarily snow, which we will not have according to the superintendent, we do not hold our meetings that night. So with that, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much, and good night. There we go.